Boys, we are about to open the stream talking about the death of Mr. Pandaria Classic, and apparently it was done by the hands of Blizzard. Who'd have thunk that re-releasing an expansion that nobody wanted to play ever again is a good thing? But I guess that's how Blizzard operate. They are not known for making the best of decisions out there.
Mr. Pandaria Classic is dead. Dunzo, finished, 6 feet under, and it's all Blizzard's fault. Well, technically, it's still going, but it's certainly on its way to being dead with a dwindling player population, a phase that's going to last longer than anyone asked for, and zero indications from Blizzard that it'll be continuing into WoD Classic. The population of
I don't think anybody wants that, Chief. Ain't nobody wants WoD Classic. Nobody.
Classic continues to drop to all-time lows with each passing week, and we're now at a point where the population is almost lower than when Season of Discovery was announced. It was no longer getting new content. The ironic part is at the time, they also announced they were offering free level 80 boosts on MoP Classic for those who successfully killed the first boss of the Scarlet Enclave in Season of Discovery. The very same game Blizzard was pushing players to at the end of SOD is now at its wit's end less than a year later, and before any official announcements of ending the classic series of MoP. And the problem?
Yeah, imagine adding a feature into this game and try to brand it as like something new is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. They added, oh, we changed the layout, a few mobs inside of a dungeon, it's a whole new experience. No, Chief. No, it's not. You want to see how you make a good Classic Plus experience? Watch Turtle WoW. Oh wait, you already have, and now you want to kill them and take their assets. Well, I guess, again, it's Blizzard assets, right? I'm not going to go the piracy argument. I'm not supporting Turtle WoW. At the end of the day, it is piracy, right? But it's so stupid that Blizzard couldn't came up with those ideas for years, and people have asked for it. They had to wait until passionate fans actually took something into their own hands and made it good. It's so stupid. It's like really so stupid. Season of Discovery, it's such a rehashed garbage. I can't believe anyone played that, but people are just desperate, so I'm not really blaming them either.
It's less about what they have confirmed, but rather what they have not said in regards to the future of MoP Classic and the support or lack thereof thus far. But before we get into that, let's start with revisiting how MoP Classic started and how we got to the abysmal state the game is in now. MoP Classic released on July 21st last year, and the only part with revisiting
look at this. Look at him. Look at this guy. This guy looks like someone who enjoyed Classic. He looks dead inside. This man doesn't have an ounce of passion inside of him. Nothing. He's playing on autopilot. Like, nobody's having fun. Nobody's talking. It's the most deadpan face I've ever seen in my life. He has nothing left to lose. He lost his entire hairline. He knows he's cooked. All it's left is World of Warcraft. That's all that's left. Oh man, it frustrates me because this is going to be me in like a couple of years.
Thus, and how we got to the abysmal state the game is in now. MoP Classic released on July 21st last year, and the only player count stats we have from release are from raids and arenas on Ironforge. The first PvP season started on July 29th, and the first raid...
Bro, I can't even see the boss nor his character. It's okay. It's standard World of Warcraft gameplay. If you can't see your screen, it means you're doing it right.
Mogush Vaults released on July 31st. So these numbers show us that there were around 157,000 players raiding and PvPing after the first week of release.
Oh,
and
that's a lot.
The population peaked at 200,000 by week 7. A little less in comparison to Cataclysm Classic release, but a thriving population nonetheless. Cataclysm Classic peaked in week 4 at 317,000 players raiding and doing arenas. So the hype around MoP Classic was certainly less than Cataclysm, but it was still a thriving population enough to sustain the game and keep it enjoyable. But for the raiding scene, the first raid tier of MoP had 3 different raids that had staggered releases, so the peak in player count lines up with the release of the final of the 3 raids that came out, the Terrace of Endless Springs. The player population was sustaining for the first 2 months or so after initial release, and you could tell Blizzard was highly involved in maintaining the game in a playable and enjoyable state. They were doing class tuning to help with class balancing, which was received positively for the most.
Maintaining what? The game already exists. They just need to give you the framework. They just need to do the server, and like that's it. Like, what great job have they done? They improved nothing. They changed nothing. It's all the same. Like, they didn't do anything.
Part.
What are we talking
that showed
about?
us that Blizzard was attempting to listen to the feedback from the community. But with class tuning, there's always some unhappy people in the end because
Which
their
feedback?
class didn't get buffed. Or, in this case, they're unhappy because the tuning affected their guild's race to world first strategy with class stacking, which led to this fun clip.
Bro, Blizzard.
Bro, look at this.
Wait, we lost?
Look at this.
We just got by bro. Where are the patch logs, man? Bro, but what the bro? There literally no change log. There was no change log. Our entire strat just got completely. We actually got completely giga because they didn't put change log. Like you, man. That's bullshit. That is bullshit.
And now you guys are surprised why WoW players are bald? Because I certainly don't.
Certainly sparked some reactions, but MoP Classic was getting attention throughout the WoW community. Even Liquid's Maximum was keeping up with the race drama at the end of the first tier progression.
Bro, Blizzard.
Oh, dude. Bro, killing a boss and ripping Blizzard first global is so funny.
And classic progression races aren't nearly as popular as retail's race to world first. But all in all, MoP Classic was off to a great start, all things considered. But similar to other classic releases, it wasn't long before Blizzard started to drop.
And you know what? By the way, I read your comments like, dang, a crying speedrunner because he lost 1 second. I'm going to use that as a perfect segue here. You guys are starting to see the shift happening live in front of your eyes when World of Warcraft became retail. It is no longer classic. And that's why I said when I saw, like, you know, Mist of Pandaria was about to be re-released as classic, I knew I wasn't going to play that. And I said this was the beginning of retail. Mist of Pandaria was when retail truly began. Some people think it was the end of Wrath. It was Cataclysm. I think it was Mist of Pandaria. You can clearly tell. You can clearly see that people now care more about analytics, numbers, class stacking, all of that stuff. That crap did not exist even when they re-released Classic, TBC, and Wrath. It did exist to a certain extent, 100%, but it wasn't like that. Now, it's way more exasperated. And, you know, you can't really blame them. That's the community Blizzard cultivated over the years. And now they came back to do the same exact thing in the expansion where it all begins. It's just the same cycle over and over and over again. And that's why I'm assuming they're not going to release Warlords of Draenor or retail, because they know how it's going to end up. Or maybe they just release it on like really, really fast pace, so you can enjoy Warlords of Draenor raids, which were excellent, and that's pretty much it, because nobody want to do garrison stuff, right? So that's what I think, in my opinion. Yeah, Watlick was peak, but Keta had some fun. Yeah, 100%.
Off the ball, and the population started to decline, and people started raid logging. The content started to become stale, and people were already hungry for new content. The first raid tier was out for about 20 weeks, which is a bit long for a classic raid tier. It, of course, wasn't nearly as long as the original, where people had to wait 7 months before the Throne of Thunder originally released. But the classic community was more used to having a raid tier last anywhere from 16 to 20 weeks. In this case,
I need
20
my
weeks
next
was
fix.
A bit too long for the content.
I need it.
And you can see this reflected in the player counts. By the last week of the raid tier, the player count was as low as 71,000 players, not even half the peak player count on release. The release of the Throne of Thunder raid helped the player count, of course, with the population bumping up to about 111,000 players on the release week, just over half of the peak player count. However, Throne of Thunder was absolutely riddled with bugs, and you could tell Blizzard was becoming either less invested, or they were just incapable of fixing the bugs plaguing the game.
Yes.
They had 3 whole PTR sessions to fix these bugs, and they still released the raid with them. The bugs were so bad that you could wipe on Darumu the Forgotten.
Man, you know, Blizzard is just vibe coding nowadays. They're literally incapable of fixing anything. I just made a video yesterday about how buggy mess is Midnight New Patches. It's insane. It's literally out of control. You can tell they have no idea what they're actually doing. You know, except for cube crawling and free trading, right?
Multiple times, and there was literally nothing you could do about it. You could potentially point to this bug as the very reason that Progress, one of the top classic guilds in the world, racing for World First, decided to call it quits because this very bug caused them to wipe multiple times, and it was potentially the biggest reason why they ended up losing the race to Newman. Check this clip out.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, Chief. I really don't care about people trying to do world first. I really couldn't care less. I care about the average player. I honestly could not have cared less. But again, this is one of the issues with like Mr. Pandaria and retail mentality. Everyone cares about the 1%ers. I don't. I care about the 70 to 80% of people in the middle. I literally could not care less about this. They can cry all they want.
Unfamiliar with Darumu, you are supposed to reveal those red crimson fog ads with these light beams that follow a player as you move around the room with their corresponding colored beam. So, the red beam reveals the red ads, the blue, and the yellow reveals the yellow ads. Pretty straightforward. However, Progress had 2 of those red ads appear before the beams were even active. And normally, the raid blows up if you reveal one of those crimson ads and walk past it with the beam and the ad is unrevealed. But in this case, since the fight was bugged, they just insta-wiped as soon as the beam spawned because 2 of those crimson ads already revealed before they phased.
Sounds fun.
This wasn't the only bugged poll Progress had during the race, so you can only begin to imagine how irritating this was for them after spending hours upon hours practicing for this. Now, Throne of Thunder released on December 11th. It's now April, and this bug still exists in the game. Not only does this bug still exist, but they even attempted to fix this bug and some others with a hotfix, but it created even more bugs, like this fun one on Twin Empyreans, where DPS can get targeted with the tank debuff during the phase transition, and you're just basically forced to die because you can't survive it as a DPS. Fun times.
Nice one.
As you can imagine,
the classic Blizzard cascade. You try to fix one problem, you create 3 more. I love it. I love it. Mr. Pandaria, it's in its original state, was never considered classic. Absolutely. I mean, the problem I personally have with World of Warcraft is people trying to imitate being that 1% is so widespread now. I know, and that's why the game is hemorrhaging players. No new player would ever look at retail World of Warcraft and actually be like, oh, I want to play that game. Because the game does absolutely nothing to introduce you into the most basic of mechanics. It just throws everything at you at the start, and if you don't get it, which 99% of the times you won't, then you're just gonna quit. And that's how the game is built. Blizzard clearly couldn't care any less about introducing new blood into the game. All they care about is maintaining whales, keep giving addicts their next fix so they can get their next high and pay for the next expansion. That's all they care about. Quick and short-term cash flow.
Having to deal with these bugs on a weekly basis for months on end has an effect on the player population. It makes you wonder if Blizzard actually cares that these bugs exist and if they care at all about the players and their experience playing the game. There are many more bugs in the Throne of Thunder raid that I won't cover because we'll be here all day if I went over all of them. It's just so unfortunate these bugs persist because the Throne of Thunder is considered by many to be one of the top 5 best raids of all time. And Blizzard just absolutely fumbled the bag on this one. Now, the bugs are bad, but they're not the only thing driving players away from the game. On January 29th, just a few months ago, Blizzard held their annual State of Azeroth and provided players with a roadmap for the year for all versions of the game. The roadmap gives a general idea of what content players should expect to release during the year and a vague timeline of when it releases. Now, there are 2 glaringly obvious parts of this roadmap that stand out. The first is that both Retail and Anniversary have content going past BlizzCon, but MoP Classic has absolutely nothing.
It's getting the axe.
Blizzard left this section blank and had nothing listed after Siege of Orgrimmar releases was a major blow for those hoping to see MoP Classic continue into Warlords of Draenor. Now,
my condolences to the 3 people who wanted to be in the garrison again. Truly, my heart does go to you.
Some of you might not think this would have been popular to begin with anyway, but there's something psychologically going on when players see potentially no future for the game they're playing. That causes players to give up or quit the game. After all, why would you continue investing all your time in a version of the game that's just going to die in a few months with no guarantees that all that work is going to carry on to another version of the game?
Yeah, but that was also true for Classic Season of Discovery, and it did very well at the beginning. It was also true for Classic, because nobody knew we were gonna get TBC. I remember, I was there. We didn't know we were about to get TBC. We just saw Classic World of Warcraft and we went like, damn, that's the version of the game I really want to play, so I don't care what happens next, just let me have my fun. Nobody really cared for it. If the game is fun, the game is fun. But yeah, he does like have truth when, you know, people are attached to their character more because they know they're not about to lose their progression. I do agree with that 100%, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter, at least not on that scale.
That's like continuing to prepare for a marathon after it was already announced to be canceled. The motivation behind the preparation is no longer there. Now, the other obvious part of the roadmap is it revealed that the next raid, Siege of Orgrimmar, would not release until the summer. So that means Throne of Thunder was going to be the current content for at the very least 6 full months, if not more, which is very long for a classic raid. Assuming Blizzard considers June as the start of summer, that's 26 weeks of Throne of Thunder raiding if you raided every single week from release until the next phase. And that is insanely long. You're going to burn out before the next phase. Now, as you can imagine,
I think that at this point, WoW players do not know the concept of touching grass. Homie, you don't have to play 24/7. You can cancel your subscription and actually go do something else. I really hate the fact that WoW players have been conditioned to think that they need to play the game at all times and not miss one singular raid. Like, they think that if they miss one raid, they would like explode or something. It's so sad to see. Bro, you don't have to be on the game all the time. You can get your gear, be prepared for the next phase, and chill the F out. You don't have to make it your entire livelihood. You're not working in World of Warcraft. This is not a second job. Like, just play something else. It's fine. It's okay. Nobody's going to blame you.
we start to see a stark drop-off in player population in the weeks following the release of this roadmap, dropping from about 96,000 down to 62,000 players just a month later. And the player count is actually probably even less than that, because we can't tell how many of those raiding and doing arenas are the same players on their alts. That's at least an over 30,000 drop off in people playing the game. That's a staggering drop in player count in a short amount of time. And it only gets worse as the weeks continue, even after the next phase, Phase 4, released on March 31st very recently, which came out with the next part of the Legendary Cloak quest line. We're down to averaging at most 50,000 players over the most recent
weeks.
That's
a serious
now,
drop.
You might be wondering, was this drastic drop in player population inevitable? Could it have been prevented? In my humble opinion,
yes.
Blizzard poorly handled MoP Classic and is solely responsible for the current state of the game.
Absolutely.
I think it was preventable, and I don't think it would have taken very much support from their end to keep more players playing the game. We had 3 PTR sets.
Well, technically, you are correct. They could have put more people on fixing the game, but have you seen that new mount at the store? Only $25. You'd rather get that, won't you? You little hamster. Run, boy. Run. Yeah, rip Garrison Enjoyers. True. Having bugs like this in World of Warcraft is inexcusable. They've been making this game for decades, absolutely. But again, if we know anything about Blizzard, is that they simply do not care. Hey, GeneralApple, I would say if you want to enjoy Prom WoW again, go private server. Sadly, Blizzard are after them. They're afraid of being a large company. Yeah, obviously. But at the end of the day, private servers are, like, not allowed. So I really don't want to get entangled with that. That being said, I played Turtle WoW so much, and like it was so fun. It was so good. It really what jumpstarted this channel. So I owe Turtle WoW a lot. It was such a great private server. But now where the future is uncertain, I don't want to commit to a private server. I'm just gonna play Classic. That's why I love. That's what I know will continue. So it's better that way. What's a PDR? It's private testing, like realm, or however you say that. Basically, the private test server where Blizzard is doing everything there before they launch it live. Everything gets through the PTR early, and then they can fix it whenever it goes live. But when Blizzard actually does PTR, it's like, okay, this is the list of bugs we have. Seems good enough to me. Just ship it, and you get it live. So it didn't really matter.
For Throne of Thunder, and it's still released with many bugs. Now,
there
obviously, Releasing without those bugs that cause wipes and make bosses almost unplayable would have helped the state of the game, but if this was truly unavoidable, they could have at least made the effort to try to quickly fix these bugs so that players don't have to deal with them for weeks or even months on end. This screams Blizzard doesn't care about MoP Classic from a player's perspective. And then, with the State of Azeroth
Blizzard
roadmap,
doesn't care about the
if by
players,
some miracle
period.
Blizzard does plan on releasing WoD Classic, which I don't think they will, they should have just
Thank
included
God.
it in the roadmap. This would have given the current Classic players something to look forward to.
No, but you see, Blizzard itself does not have a single idea what the hell they're doing. Blizzard operates on a daily basis. They can see tomorrow. They only see today. They make a decision based on the now, and that's why they only care about, like, their next quarterly update. They don't care about longevity. They never have. Well, they have previously in the past, like, you know, back when dinosaurs walked the earth. But today, that's not Blizzard. They don't see the future. Their scope is so small. I mean, their view is just myopic. They cannot see anything further than today.
And given them more of a reason to keep playing the game. They announced MoP Classic releasing in 2025 State of Azeroth, so there's no reason in my mind to hold this announcement off until BlizzCon. Or, if they aren't planning to continue in a WoD Classic and are truly ending Classic like most believe they are, don't include MoP Classic in the timelines. This would have been better than basically confirming the end of the game for many people. Obviously, this probably would have left some people feeling a little bit confused because they didn't include it, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but including nothing in the timeline for after BlizzCon and indicating Throne of Thunder would last until the summer was definitely not the play. What do you think Blizzard should have done here? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.
Disable and nuke every other World of Warcraft server and just make Classic Plus good and make it a new standard. That's what Blizzard should have done. Regardless, great video. Gonna leave a link in the description. You guys should watch it for yourself. Fantastic video. And again, it just goes to show how much Blizzard cares about the average WoW player. They couldn't care less. They cannot even fix a game-breaking bug inside of a raid. It's insane. Like, they're too far gone. There is truly no salvaging Blizzard.